So we're doing this wargaming thing. And when we're playing a war game, naturally situations arise. And being able to navigate them is important because, yes, we're trying to win. Yes, we're collecting and building and painting. But wargaming is also a social aspect. I want us to play to have fun. I want us to step out of space and time for a little bit and roll some dice, flip some cards, and push some miniatures around and see what happens. So understanding how to navigate some of the social aspects, I think, can go a long way to building community and understanding where players are coming from. Now, we've got that framework. The question is, when can you take a move back? Whatever phase of the game it is, you're tracking a lot, right? Moving here, shooting there. When can you take a move back? Or when can you make an adjustment? And this is an important question that's a little bit different for every single game. If I have some miniatures and I move them to a certain space, okay, I move them there. And now I want to attack, so I check the range. And then I realize, I want to take that back. I want to move them somewhere else. Are you allowed to do that? How do you handle that? It has the possibility, if you let me take that back, then how does that make you feel about the game? If I win, are you going to be like, you won because you took that back and you saw you wouldn't be in range when you were in range, right? There's the possibility to misinterpret those feelings. And I don't think we want any of that with wargaming. I will share my experience. I will share the etiquette that I've seen. And then, of course, in the comments, your experiences in wargaming. Is it a club type environment or is it a more competitive type environment? Like, say, a tournament. Vastly different feelings and a lot of different things at stake where your entry and how you're playing. My experience and how I handle it is if we're at a gaming club or we're at the comic book store playing, you want to take it back, go ahead, right? We're here to have fun. I want you to get the most out of your miniatures. We're trying to do this wargaming thing. If I lose the game because you took something back or you forgot something, then if I lose because of that, then my tactics were not really good in the first place. So the idea is like if you moved your units, right? We're kind of breaking it down to a simplified war game. So you moved all your stuff, movement phase, and you're like, all right, Fritz, I moved all my stuff. Now we're at the shooting phase. Okay, this unit is going to shoot into the unit here. Before you roll the dice, you're like, oh, wait, I forgot. I can't believe it. Because I had this activation at the end of the movement phase, I actually get to move this unit twice. Can I move it? Well, do you say yes or no? I would say yes. I do say yes. Because again, move your unit, you would have remembered it. If that's going to break the game and you're going to win because of that, my tactics are not very good. So at that point, I say take it back, right? We're here to have fun. We're here to do this wargaming thing together. Now, competitively, and I define competitive because now we're in a tournament, right? We've got a lot more at stake, so to speak. We're trying to place on the upper tables. We're trying to build the rep. We're trying to maybe get some prize support. At that point, I would have to really think because it could affect the outcome of the game. Now, for myself, if at any time, every war game is going to have phases of the game. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. If you move on, then you missed it. I adhere to that 100%. I don't ask to take anything back. And there have been times where I'm like, yo, I've got the best combat set up. I've got the best synergy and combos set up. See, paying 200 points tax for that extra thing. Now it's going to pop off. And like I forget something or I pop it off and I didn't move something on the other side of the table. I don't ask to take it back. That's how it is. Sometimes I will publicly acknowledge it. Like, oh man, I can't believe I forgot that. Just by chance. A lot of times I won't. I try to keep that to myself because this is a competitive environment, right? Man, I messed up. I don't need my opponent to necessarily notice that, even though they usually notice it. So I don't ask to take it back. If my opponent wants to take something back, myself, again, if it's a competitive game, yeah, I'll let you do it. It's okay, because if I win because of that, if you win because of that, right? My tactics were bad. But I say that from the perspective of I've been playing in a lot of tournaments over the years. I won't say been there, done that. I've had my taste of victory. I've had my taste of defeat and everything in between. I want to win. It is a competitive game, but it's a little bit more relaxed. How to approach it that I think is fair. Once you've rolled the dice, you can't take it back. That's it. So going back to this kind of overall generic example, movement phase. I move all my toys, all my units. Okay, we're at the shooting phase now. This unit is going to shoot into that unit. I've declared shooting. I picked the dice up, but I haven't rolled them yet. If my opponent was like, hey, I just realized I didn't move that unit on the other end. Okay, go ahead. But if they've rolled the dice, in my opinion, there's no taking things back because the dice are the chance engine. If you rolled something and the roll wasn't that good, if you get to roll it again because you forgot something, right? I forgot to add a couple of dice or do this and that. What if it rolls even better and you wipe out my unit? What if you roll it really well and you forget something? And I'm like, okay, just re-roll the dice. And now you roll not well. And you're like, man, this guy's trying to cheat me. So I think once you roll the dice, if you were to approach respectfully in a competitive wargaming environment, once you've rolled the dice, that's it. There is no going back. There is no switching. You've committed to that action. I think that is fair. And if someone were to enforce that, I think that's fair. But again, you have to kind of navigate your own way. If you forgot, go ahead, roll the dice, see what happens. There's been times where someone's rolled the dice and they've rolled 10 dice, and then they realize, wait, I should be rolling 12 because I got +2 combat bonus. You know what? Just roll 2 more dice. Let's see what happens. I try to keep it light. I try to keep it open. But understanding different interpretations, different feelings, different representations, I want to be sensitive to navigating that because we're trying to build community. We're trying to do things. And generally speaking, you know what? If you forgot something, just do it now or remember it for next time or take it back or switch it. I'm okay with that. Trying to be mindful. Now, for the ending framework, this took me a while to realize. And I guess it's better late than never. It's been a number of years right now. And at the time at the club, a lot of us have been playing Warhammer 40,000 for a long time, like 10 years, or so, 10 plus years. And the club was pretty competitive, meaning we would go to different stores in the area, different tournaments. There was hobby play. There was narrative play, but the club was well known for going to play at events. And we had a new player join the club, fantastic painter, new player joined the club. And I would regularly play games against them on Mondays and Fridays and then Sunday mornings at the comic shop. And initially I was like, I don't like playing with this player because they would move stuff. And if you move 6 inches, they move like 6.5 inches. If they're going to charge or do something and it's 12 inches, they would just measure it and pile in. And I'd be like, I don't think that's quite in range. Or if they made an advance with a unit, it was pretty sloppy. I mean, this is not hex-based games or grid-based games. It's perspective on there. They were sloppy with certain things. They would forget a rule and then do it. Just kind of weird stuff. And initially I was like, this person's like trying to pull that soft cheating or trying to pull that soft stuff where I didn't catch you rolling extra dice. I didn't catch you with dice manipulation, but you're pushing it a little bit. And it's not every now and then, it's all the time. So I got to the point where I'm like, this person is really cool to hang out with and talk 40K and paint miniatures with. But when I play them, I'm just not having a good time. And I found myself stepping back a little bit here and there from playing with them in the club. It was my fault because a few years later, now they had some experience. They've come up in the ranks. At that point, a much better player than I was. It realized I didn't see the perspective of where they were coming in. And this is why I think the focus of this vlog, to just be aware of other perspectives and step back and give that benefit of the doubt or allow the rules to be fluid. I realized they came into an established gaming club starting Warhammer 40,000. They have no experience. They've invested a lot. They liked 40K. They invested a lot of time and money initially to get their army showing up with an army to play. They felt they had to prove themselves. They felt they had to be part of the group. They felt they had to fit in. They felt they had to represent immediately day one as the other players. And that resulted not in trying to cheat or pull any fast ones with the rules. It was like they were so enthusiastic about this 40K thing and joining our group and playing, which, the group was great at day one. You're in. You want to play 40K? You're in. Come with us to the events, hang out. So it wasn't a question of we weren't welcoming or it's this exclusive thing. But from their point of view, they were looking as a neophyte, initiate, young blood. They're looking at these first company veterans, and they were like, whoa. We're like, we're just been playing 40K a little bit longer. That's all. So at that point, and I felt a little bad because I wasn't able to see it at the time. That's how it was presenting. It wasn't intended that way, but I and maybe a few others could have interpreted it that way. So I put that within that framework. Now I've been first company forever. Like that's it. I'm just, Deathwing is good. I've got my Terminator armor. They're like at this point, Chapter Master, almost Primarch level. So they've far surpassed that. But it's interesting to see their journey through the 40K universe and how that's kind of played out. But the takeaway is building that community, having someone to play with, having like-minded individuals to roll some dice and flip some cards. Yes, winning is important. Yes, rules are important. But depending on the scenario, let people take it back. Let people, if they forgot a rule, make that move. Let them do a pile-in out of order because they would have done it anyway and they just forgot it. All sorts of crazy stuff. That, I think, is better than living by the spirit of the rules. That said, there are times where there is no take back, and I won't name any names, but I will end with this kind of story. You can imagine it. We were playing 40K at a tournament, pretty competitive, and my opponent was playing 4 Land Raiders, and a Land Raider is like a super powerful, lot of points, super powerful battle tank. And the table we were playing on was ruins. So at the back, you had a Godhammer pattern, long range kind of super tank. He's at the back. He's got this tank like in the perfect cover. You couldn't blow up terrain in Warhammer 40,000, and it's true line of sight. So half the ruined building completely obscured his tank. He had it positioned perfectly. He could shoot out in this one kind of radius, but nothing else could see it or draw a line of sight to it. It was completely open ground before that. So if you try to cross the ground, the tank's going to just blast you up, and then it's going to open up, and all the Space Marines inside, blood claws are going to pour out, bolt pistol, chainswords, all this kind of madness. So it was a great position. We got into the game so much where I won't say I forgot about it, but they forgot they had a 4th Land Raider. So after turn 2, it was just sitting in the back. They weren't shooting with it. They weren't doing anything. And it took me a turn or two to realize where I'm like, I think they forgot about this tank. So, and that's like, 4th of the army, because you've got the tank, you got the dudes inside, you got the Rune Priest also joining them, all this crazy stuff. It's a significant portion of the army. But at this point, they're just trying to nail down my Eldar, moving around, jet bikes, doing all that annoying stuff, and I'm trying to dominate the center of the table. So visually and mentally, both our brains are literally like psychic hoods emanating this power, like staring at the middle of the table, fighting over this one objective for everything because it's endgame. They haven't moved their Land Raider in 4 turns, like 3 turns. We get to the final end of the turn, the assault phase, and I could literally see they like went to grab something, and they're like, they see the side of the table, like, my Land Raider's been there. That's crazy. Now, when something like that happens, I feel for it, but I kind of forgot about it, but they forgot about it. At that point, like, what are you going to do? So within that framework, you can only go back so many turns, or in that moment, I don't think even if you're playing casually and for fun, you can't say, well, look, I meant to do this 3 turns ago. Can I have 3 turns now? I mean, at that point, it's kind of too late. So within that framework, in your own club, in your own group, at that own gaming store where you play, do you really enforce the rules? Do you allow some takebacks? Do you allow some do-overs? How do you approach, and when is it too late to take something back?